Could be they gave up.
No.
Okay.
Well, it should be yours. I think.
Alrighty.
That- I love the way it follows you.
I know, it's funny. It looks like you have more than one camera. That's what it, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like there's a cameraman who's zooming in, zooming out. Hey, Lois.
Hey, Rabbi,
How
good
are you?
morning.
He's here now.
Well,
I'm here now.
I see.
Am I allowed to be here?
Yes, you're
Hi.
allowed to be here, David.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. Do you have a prostate? Never mind. Okay.
So far,
That's what Charlie Cook asked one of the debaters at Cambridge. Do you know what a woman is? You know, does she have a prostate? Never mind. Forget it.
No, I don't.
Hopefully.
Okie dokie.
No, it's Zippy.
She hopefully is coming home today. That's my hope. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, so last time we read the beginning of what we're going to call the first speech. And we read up to, I think, verse 4. We read the opening couple lines, and
Go through 5.
did we? Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, we did. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we did. We went through 5.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
being on the other side.
Yeah, very Yardane. Right. So this seems to be an introduction to a book. You wonder, like, did they at that time think about these as a book from the beginning, or did they take a bunch of chapters and sort of
Swap them together.
put them together? Certainly there are Rishonim, there are medieval scholars who, one of their explanations for why things are out of order chronologically sometimes is for pedagogic reasons. And you see this, the Midrash certainly assumes this, that there is an order. It may not be a chronological order, but there is an order. So even there are even principles, like if we have the 13 principles of Rabbi Yishmael that are mentioned every day in davening. These are mechanisms that you can use to extract law from the verses. Sometimes that's the word midrash. It means that you're applying some kind of a methodology to get information from a verse that doesn't look there like it's there on the surface. So there are several of those that assume a purposeful order. Like it'll say, like there's something called klal, uprat, uklal, which means something was discussed generally, then specifics were mentioned, and then it went back to the generally. And when you have that, So there's a certain rule about it. Or if you just have klal uprat, if you just have a general statement and specifics, or if you have specifics and then a general statement, it all makes a difference. That only makes sense if there's a purposeful order to how the whole thing was written, because what they're saying is that the Torah, that Moshe, and I'm assuming he's doing this at the advice of God, even like the ordering of it, not just the information, that this was all thought out, how the whole thing is going to unfold. Everything is purposeful. May not be chronological, but it is purposeful. Here, the reason I'm bringing this up is because, like in the other Torah portions, the way you began is not necessarily the way you end. Like for instance, Bereshit. Bereshit in the beginning is an introduction to what the creation narrative, but it's not like at first blush, it's not an explanation for why Noach is there, or an explanation for why Vayetze, Vayetze is there. Like, would the word Bereshit be meaningful in those regards? So you could say generally that this is talking about the beginning of history, the first 2,000 years of something like that, basically the first 2,000 years of history. So you could call it Bereshit because it's the first 2,000 out of 6,000 years of history. But it doesn't. It seems like that is being called that because just because that's how it began, that's how it started. But that the word at the beginning is being said with the end in mind, that of the book, it doesn't necessarily feel like that, especially because I've been making a big deal out of the fact that somebody switched how we characterize these books. They weren't even into the time of the Rishonim, into medieval times, even into the 1200s. They were not calling these books by this. They were calling this book is called Mishnah Torah, which is a kind of repetition of the Torah, or a going over of the Torah. So it's not called Devarim, but it just seems like here it actually does fit. You could say that this really does characterize the book, because this book is Moshe's speeches. And so
Consider that a summary.
yeah, I mean, or a good opening line, but the opening line has the end in mind. In other words, yes, it is a summary.
Yeah.
Right. And that also, again, interestingly, it doesn't say, and God spoke to Moshe saying at the beginning here. It says, these are the words which Moshe said. So this does a good job of characterizing what is about to come. So there's that. We talked about the term Aver Hayarden, which is in verse 1 and then in verse 4, where it says, I'm sorry, at the beginning of verse 5, where it refers to where they are as the other side of the Jordan. And why would they use that to characterize where they are? They haven't been to Israel yet. So if they were talking about a place that was on the other side of the Jordan, that should be Canaan, the place they're looking to go into and to conquer. That should be called the other side of the Jordan, but it's not. Where they are camped on the east bank of the Jordan, that's being called the other side of the Jordan. So again, you could say that that's also being written with an end in mind. That eventually that's what it's going to be called, the other side of the Jordan. This is an expectation. The Jewish people are going to live primarily on the west side of the Jordan. And so this area is going to be known as Aver HaYarden. You could say that. There is some question, and this is not an area that I have expertise in at all. Whether or not there could have been sentences put into the Torah after the fact. In other words, does it have to be that every single word here is written by Moshe before he died? Or is it possible that there are certain parts that are inserted afterwards, that the Torah is 99% the words of Moshe after he died, but there might be certain lines that were inserted afterwards. There are certain like cryptic statements that suggests that there may be medieval scholars who believe that. One of them is the Ibn Ezra. The Ibn Ezra refers to something called the secret of the 12. The secret of the 12. And the last time I looked into that, he was talking about 12 places in the Torah where something was inserted afterwards. I'm just going to see if I get a quick hit on that from this. Ibn Ezra. Like, for instance, the Talmud does not seem to accept that notion because they're wondering, how did Moshe, who wrote the last 8 verses? Who wrote the last 8 verses? So there is a possibility that Joshua wrote the last 8 verses. But there's a lot of resistance to that, because what gives the Torah its special quality is that it's prophecy coming through Moshe. Prophecy coming through Joshua is like the book of Joshua, which is fine, but that's not Torah.
Right.
Right. It's Torah in the large sense, but it's not Torah with a capital T. It's not what we, Chumash. And we believe that there's a qualitative difference between those. I just want to make sure I'm not ignoring Estelle. I wish I could redo this, that you don't have to be accepted in. I don't know what happened to that. I know there's a way to do it. All right. What does so the Talmud says that really Moshe, it says Moshe wrote it with tears and then it was filled in afterwards. So what's the problem? The problem is that he can't write that he died before he died. That's not truth. That's not,
Right.
So who wrote about the part that he died and the stuff that came afterwards? So you can see that you can see why this would be a very touchy issue and why it would be theologically
Yeah, it would be a problem.
yeah, difficult. All right, what does Ibn Ezra mean when he refers to the secret? When Ibn Ezra refers to the secret of the 12, he is alluding to his view about the last 12 verses of the Torah and a small number of other verses in the Torah, which he hints were not authored by Moshe, but rather written later, most notably by Joshua. This phrase is is famous because Ibn Ezra deliberately presented it in a cryptic way. He didn't explain it. He not wanting to provoke controversy with mainstream beliefs about Mosaic authorship. Here, just let me take this for 1 second. I'm sorry. Thanks. Thanks, Ron.
Liz, this is probably something about the hospital, maybe?
Yes, it is. I can hear him a little bit.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard about Craig yet, so
Oh, so we don't know if he's coming home today.
I don't know yet. I'm gonna, right after class, if I haven't heard from them, I'm gonna call
Yeah,
and see what's going on.
yeah, hopefully his blood pressure stabilized.
Yep.
What is low blood pressure called?
Hypo, I don't know.
Because we say hypertension, we're
Yeah,
referring to high.
right. It must be hypo something.
Oh, there you go, hypotension.
Okay,
What I had yesterday.
yes.
Messed me up.
Liz's blood pressure yesterday, David, was 105 over what?
54, 53.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really low. And he asked me, he said, do you feel woozy or dizzy? And no, fine.
huh.
That is known
Well-
as, see, he wasn't wearing a white coat, he was wearing a blue coat.
Ah, that's
Blue
blue.
coats are calming.
Blue coat blood pressure.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know what it is today, though.
Right.
Go back to its
Take
normal.
yours today.
Well, it fluctuates. Blood
Did you take
pressure
yours
is.
today. Was it simple?
Did I take mine today?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was it?
140 over 79.
Borderline.
Yeah, no kidding. It was funny in the doctor's office yesterday. We were talking about the cholesterol and how, the good cholesterol is very, very good, and my bad cholesterol is bad. So we likened it to the nursery rhyme. When she was good, she was very, very good. And when she was bad, she was horrid.
I think I have the same thing. I don't know which ones are high and low, but I think the good is okay and the bad is bad.
Yep, mine too. Although,
And he's not going to do
actually,
anything.
well, I'm gonna take that low dose statin
Well,
that he,
see, I've done the statins and I don't react well to them.
yeah, you said they affect you. Yeah, well, if there's any side effects, I'm gonna stop. I mean,
Yeah.
On 8 milligrams low.
10 milligrams he wants me. I know you're taking 40, so it's,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I
And
wouldn't.
David, you have no side effects?
Huh?
She's
No
asking if
side
you have
effects?
side.
No, I can't find any.
You notice
Like
Yeah.
what?
Well, for Liz, her muscle, tell him what your,
I had my muscle pain,
They what?
and I had muscle pain, and I had stomach discomfort,
oh, okay.
And
which for me is not a good thing.
No, it
it
isn't.
hasn't affected my digestion.
You know
Well,
what? Roberta and I were discussing cholesterol this morning. We were texting back and forth, and it seems that it's very iffy. They don't know high cholesterol affects different people different ways. Some of it's diet,
right.
some of it's natural. She was telling me her mother actually had an almost 300 cholesterol her whole life, and
Wow.
and it was just, so, and she didn't have heart attacks or anything like this. So I don't know.
You
I
never
don't think
know.
they know that much about exact. Hello,
No.
Reba.
It's all
Hi.
individual.
Yeah, so back to the secret of the 12. So additionally, Ibn Ezra hinted that several other verses throughout the Torah may have similarly non-Mosaic origins, where the text describes things from a later historical perspective. That's what I'm talking about over here, right? When it says Aver Hayarden, that's a later historical perspective. They're calling it the other side of the Jordan. You would only do that once you already lived there. Now they could have anticipated it. That's what most people would say to you. If I was asked this question before I had heard of this Ibn Ezra, I would have said to you, well, the Torah is anticipating that we're going to be there, and the people that are reading this are going to be reading it from Israel, so we're going to call it Aver Hayarden. But it does, it feels like a bit of a stretch to say that, but I think a lot of people would take that, would go there. But this is the text describes things from a later historical perspective, such as mentioning places by names not contemporary to Moshe, or information that seems editorial, like for instance, there's one place where it'll say and there's something with in Bereshit with Abraham where it says, and the Canaanites lived there at that time or something. There's language like that.
Also about the giants, the nephew, at that time
In those days. Yeah, it says things like that, in those days or something. Also, yeah, it says, how did I turn to this? This is ridiculous. How did I know to turn to this page? I can't tell you. It just happened. Yeah, so it's it's Pasuk Zion. And it says, Vahaknani Vahaprizi Oz Yoshev Ba'aretz. So it's talking about right before this that there is contention between the shepherds of Avram and the shepherds of his nephew Lot. But it says the Canaanites and the Prizi were then living in the land. And there's a little asterisk here. This is the first mention of this nation, which is later mentioned together with other Canaanite nations. They most probably lived between Hittites. No, he's not talking. He's only talking about them. Anyway, so that's another example. Also, there's something it's quoted. It seems like it's from a medrash that it says Avraham was still standing before God. Avram Odeno Omed Lifnei Hashem. This is after the Sodom. After Sodom is destroyed. So that's in Vayera. So beginning, they're told the angels come. Oh yeah, here it is. That's not exactly the quote. Is it Avram got up in the morning at the place where he stood there before God. So there's, I think that's the verse where it's, I think Rashi quotes a, it seems to be a medrash that says that this verse was switched. Really, it originally said God stood before Avram, but that was not considered to be respectful. So it switched it to Avram standing before God. So it looks like what they're saying over there is that that's a later switch.
Yeah.
That after the Torah was written one way and then somebody switched that, which would be shocking if that's what it meant. But yet, so it sort of sounds like it. I'm not saying what I'm not advocating this position. I'm just saying such a position exists and would help us understand that terminology over there. And
Is
then
that similar to when they sometimes say read it this way? It's written this way, read this way.
well, Kri Uksiv. Yeah, so there's some people like the Radak, I think Rav David Kimchi says that there was more than one text. This is what he says. Technically, there at one point there was more than one version, and so they left it. You read one and you read it as one and you write it as the other. This is not a beloved interpretation. I mean, but it was. I think I'm almost positive it's the Radak of David Kimchi who says it. But you nowadays people would say, I think based on the Vilna Gaon, that the way it's pronounced is what we call the surface meaning, and the way it's written is this like the secret meaning. So for instance, you have the four-letter name of God. It's written Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, but you say Adonai. Even when you're reading the Torah, you don't pronounce it. You say Adonai. That's like a Kri Uktiv because it's written one way, and you pronounce you say it a different way. Well, there's other ones that that look like they're very similar, and it's just a few letters off. There are a couple in Tanakh where it's a completely different word. That's very rare. It's usually just like a couple letters different or something. The Radak, I, the Abarbanel in the book of Yirmiyahu, apparently there's a lot of those that as opposed to other books. So the Abarbanel says the reason for that is that Yirmiyahu was young when he started his prophecy, and therefore his writing skills were not that great.
So he corrected his grammar.
Yeah. So the Malbim, there was steam coming out of the Malbim. When you read the Malbim about this at Barbanel, you can picture steam coming out of his ears on both sides. He's so upset with that comment. How can you say that about a prophet and a work of prophecy, etc.? Okay, so I just wanted to mention that as we're.
But that's not like saying the Torah. It's still we know that the prophet was a person that could have changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's much more so in the Torah. And he just called it the secret of the 12, the Ibn Ezra. And yeah, so there's those kind of statements, but particular, the one I think that is the one that it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. Why are you calling that the other side of the Jordan? It needs to be addressed. I was once I helped several kids who went to Moriah. I helped them with their bar mitzvah
Mhm.
So what I did was on Shabbos, I walked from here to Moriah, and then I I sat in when they read from the Torah or the Haftorah, and then um, I stayed in for the rabbi's speech, Rabbi Frank, and then I left. So I've heard Rabbi Frank give like three drushes, I think, three sermons, and one of them was on this, where he said this shows you the Torah is written by people. That was his thing. The Torah is written by people because they're they're this is not written by Moshe. Why are they calling it the other side of the Jordan? Right. So he was anticipated
Yeah.
by the Ibn Ezra. And again, other people would say it's projecting how it's to be called. Um, again, there's certain place names that are only going to be called that name later on. Those are other places where he says that. But the Ibn Ezra would say, yeah, there are some verses like that that would have been put in by Yoshua or somebody else. Um,
Rabbi, a couple of
yeah,
things. Just is yeah, Asher, yeah, the
yeah,
closest we have to saying the four-letter.
right. And by the way, even that you will hear people go Ekia Asher Ekia.
Really?
I've heard people do that. Yeah, Ekia Asher Ekia.
Huh.
Ramosha Shapiro told us, a blessed memory, he told us that it's the same name. Aleph Hey Yud Hey is the same name as Yud Hey Vav. Aleph Hey Yud Hey is the same name as Yud Hey Vav Hey. It's just from a different perspective. Yud Hey Vav Hey is somebody else referring to God, and Aleph Hey is God referring to himself. So when he refers to himself, he says it in first person singular. I will be. When somebody else says it, they're saying he will be. So he was saying it's the same name. But when you look in mystical treatments of these names, you see that they are treated differently. The Aleph Hey Yud Hey name and the Yud Hey Vav Hey name. But I have heard people say Ekya. By the way, there's when people it's becoming more common for people to use the Arabic Allah. Even Jews, like there's a Inch Allah, which means like God. God Inshallah means something like God
May
God
God
willing.
will it or
God
something.
willing. I think it's God willing. Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. So, but I wonder why they don't feel they have to say Kala, because Allah is the name Aleph Lamed. So why don't they feel they have to say Kala?
Yeah.
Or whenever they are imitating an Arab who's saying like Allahu Akbar, God is great. So why don't I mean they don't. I don't know why we don't, but they don't say Kala u Akbar. Akbar. Okay, so that's that.
Oh, one question about the book,
Yeah,
which does seem to be treated differently than the other four.
yeah.
You think it's possible that Mishnah calling in Mishnah Torah would people might assume that you don't need the other? I mean, can you use Devarim as Torah? I mean, it repeats almost everything, right?
Except that it does not repeat all the mitzvahs. It
Oh,
does not repeat all the mitzvahs. Yeah, so part of that actually leads to the question of why do they call it Mishnah Torah if it isn't a complete repetition? Here, let's just look at these the question I'm about to ask, perplexity, they are notoriously not good at answering these questions, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna ask how many of the 613 mitzvos mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy The book of Devarim is traditionally called Mishnah Torah, meaning repetition of the Torah, because it repeats many of the mitzvahs. However, it also contains a notable number of mitzvahs mentioned uniquely or newly detailed. According to sources, about 199 mitzvahs are counted in Devarim, with over 70 of them new or uniquely emphasized in this book. The total 613 mitzvahs span the entire Torah, but Devarim contains roughly this subset as part of its review. So 199 out of 613. So it would, and also, you'd have to say that the narrative parts of these other books are not important to review for some reason. The way it seems like we're supposed to understand it, he's talking to them, he's highlighting the mitzvos that are going to be most important when they get into the land. He's trying to give them a refresher why these as opposed to others, because these are going to be very important when they first get into the land. So he wants to make sure that they're that's fresh in their minds. But it'll be something to
Probably wants to remind them not to revert to
yeah.
idle.
Yeah, that would be part of it too, like the ones that are connected to that message, which is important to him. Also in verse 5, it uses the phrase Moshe explained this Torah.
Yeah.
Is that how you have it translated in verse 5?
Began explaining this Torah.
Explaining it. That's a funny word. It's an interesting word.
Yep.
What does it mean to explain it as opposed to teach it? Usually it just says he says things. What does it mean when it says he's coming to explain it? So the Midrash says that he said it in different languages.
Here it says explaining. This clearly refers to the elucidation of the commandments that begins in chapter 5. It's Rafi.
Okay, and that chapter 5 is what we're going to call the second speech. This would be the introductory speech. And then, or you might call this the introduction and that the first speech, or you'll call it the second
And
speech.
then it goes on to say he explained the Torah in many languages.
Yeah, so now,
To symbolize
to symbolize what?
that wherever Jews would be in the future and wherever the language of the lands of their exile, Jews would study the Torah in a language that they understood.
But so again, with Midrash, you have to step back and like look carefully at the language. And here's the thing: we don't have any tradition that there's an official Moshe version, let's say in Greek, or an official Moshe version in Latin, or official Moshe version in Akkadian, or we don't.
No.
There's no. Like one day we're going to find his official Akkadian version that he said. I mean, so, and also, and part of the reason I'm assuming that they're saying in the future is because why would they need 70 language to talk to the Jewish people? This is not,
Right.
if you're talking to the people right when they leave Egypt, so then it's possible you've got people who are speaking different languages.
Yeah.
Because there's all different kinds of people coming out, or even the Jews that are coming out, might be more comfortable in different languages. And Egypt was cosmopolitan in those times. In other words, if there were people that came out with Israel, what are eventually called the Erev Rav, so those people may have represented several different languages. But now you're talking, this is 40 years later. They've been together, and it seems like they're getting their instruction in Hebrew, and that Hebrew would be a language they would know by now. So I think that's why they're saying it's for the future, not for the present, because in the present, why would he need to explain it in different languages?
Right.
Also, why are they feeling that they need to talk about different languages? Maybe he just, what is to follow is his explanation. Like
Yeah.
this is, in other words, he's not just going to list mitzvahs, but he's going to give us some context
And he's also saying, well, I won't be there with you to help and
Right.
guide you.
right. But that's not where it goes. It goes to that thing about different languages. It's just funny. He explained it in 70 languages is the language of the Medrash. That would assume that,
Doesn't say how many here.
right, that would assume that there were still people amongst Israel who spoke different languages. And also that the number 70, it doesn't have to literally be 70. 70 is typically a way of talking about the other nations. So 70 languages would be the language of each one of the major nations that are out there.
Could also mean dialects.
It could
So the Midrash isn't just saying that this will be other, other nation Jews will be in other nations, and like we're learning it in English. I don't,
but
yeah.
Moshe didn't explain to us in English.
No.
The way we're
No,
learning in
but I
English
mean
is
the
somebody is translating.
Midrash.
I'm saying the
It's
Midrash,
yeah.
because the Medrash is explaining what does it mean? Moshe explained this Torah. The actual language in the pasuk is Moshe Be'er es Torah zos. Moshe explained
Yeah.
this Torah. It sounds like it's telling us something that Moshe did. And if you're going to say that
That's what all the translations
he
are.
translated it into English so that we would be able to learn it in English, but that's not how we got our English. Maybe, unless what you mean is that he said this in a way that it could be translated, or he's
Yes.
expecting it to be translated, but it's the thing is this is his verb. Be'er is a verb. It's an action taken by him. But you could say that, I guess. In other words, he said this understanding that this is eventually going to be translated. It's not, people are not going to be only studying this in the way that he is saying it.
The Midrash understood that.
Right. So therefore, so the Midrash is saying it was intended to be translated. It was understood to be translated. It's intended to be translated, which is interesting. There is a fast day or a series of fast days connected to the 10th of Tevet, the 10th of the Jewish month of Tevet, which is shortly after Hanukkah. It's a fast day. And so the main reason for that fast is it's the beginning of the siege by the Babylonians that led to the capture of Jerusalem and the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. That's the original reason for that fast. But at this point, there are other reasons that are added because there's other things that happened around this time. And one of the things that they mention is a fast day instituted by the rabbis for when the rabbis translated the Torah into Greek. They actually had a three fasts connected to that. They did not see that as a positive occurrence, that this would be the Septuagint translated into Greek. Now, you could say that they were specifically concerned about that translation because it was being translated at the behest of the Greeks, because they wanted it to be available as literature for other Greek-speaking people. They considered it one of the important works of the people of their empire. So they would want it in Greek. So you could say it's not translation in general that they were concerned about, but they were concerned about that particular translation because if that's why they want to translate it, then the Torah is eventually going to be treated as a book of literature, and that is not the Torah as literature is not the point of the Torah.
No,
Torah is supposed
they
to
just
be a
wanted it
guide,
so they could gang up on the Jews.
or
And
maybe even their
related, yeah, Rabbi, I just listened to, I have to find it because I don't know who did it, who was talking about the fact that Paul specifically made Christianity into a religion, you know, taking it from Judaism, that would be consonant with living in the Roman Empire. And it had all kinds of, you know, analogies, you know, how the power structure should be, how others things, that he specifically was trying to make it softer for the Christianity, for the people who lived in the Roman Empire. I want to find that because it was very
Okay.
interesting.
I know they're later on, I mean, much later on, there were people that were trying to do the same thing for the Christian world. They were trying to make Judaism Christiany, so that,
Assimilate those.
but that
Jews.
wasn't necessarily so Christians could become Jews. It was just so Christians would not be upset with Jews or whatever. They would see kinship amongst the Jews. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see that. Yeah, so it's possible that they aren't responding to the Torah being translated. They're responding to the reasoning. This gets brought up every time a translation is made of the Torah or the Talmud or something else, because if they really were upset about translations, then why are we translating things? So so here you could say that this is the permission to translate. I'm going to say this is Lois's explanation. That but the Torah is telling us that it's like giving almost permission to translate. It's telling us that the Torah, that these words were spoken with the assumption they will be translated into all languages. I wonder how many different languages the Bible is translated into.
That would be interesting.
All right, let's look.
Perplexity.
That one I'm just going to plain ask.
Did you hear there was an attack on the Allenby Bridge today?
No. No.
2 people were killed.
How many different languages is the Jewish Bible translated into? That's too much.
Perplexity.
How many different languages is the Jewish Bible translated into?
The Jewish Bible, also known as the Tanakh, has been translated into many languages. Some of the major translations include English, Spanish, French, German, Russian, Arabic, and many others. The availability of translations depends on the language and the specific Jewish community or tradition. Do you have a specific language in mind that you're interested in?
No, I just want to know the number. Like, for instance, it used to be said that there are 70 languages in the world. So I wanted to know the exact number of languages.
Just got to think about that.
I anticipated that this would be difficult.
It seems that I couldn't find the exact number of languages the Jewish Bible has been translated into. However, it's known to be available in numerous languages around.
That's it. Okay. There's some things I know, even though it has the ability to scour everything. So you would think that it could think this through.
Yeah.
But it goes to a funny place. I anticipated that would be a problem. Okay, that's our
Here you go. The Bible, I left out
okay,
Jewish.
good. Yeah.
I just said Bible.
Yeah.
Has been translated in whole or in part into at least 4,007 languages worldwide as of August 2025.
4,000.
4,007.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it amazing that there are
complete Bible-
4,000 languages?
Yeah, the complete Bible is available in 776 to 733, that makes no sense, languages, while the New Testament is available in about 1,798 languages, and smaller portions of scripture exist in another 1,433 to 1,255 languages.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
that's four. I didn't even, if you asked me how many languages there are in the world,
I would never
Never
have
thought.
thought that many.
Now, so that's available. You Googled that, right?
No, Perplexity.
Oh, you did Perplexity?
Yes, that was
So what did you
Perplexity.
ask?
I asked, how many languages is the Bible in? I just left it simple. I didn't say Jewish, I didn't say anything. So this is taking into consideration.
Oh, I see.
So it'll take into consideration the Quran, probably.
No, but it said Tanakh. Didn't it say Tanakh? Did you? Oh, no, mine said
Yours
Tanakh.
said Tanakh. But it did break down that the New Testament is available in X number of languages.
Right. Now that you would imagine, because they missionized, they would want to translate it into every single place they went to.
And this says there are about 7,396 known living languages in the world.
How do you like that? That is fascinating. So again, when it says 70, it's like when they say 12 tribes or 600,000 Jews. These are numbers
Yeah.
that become associated with the notion.
Yeah.
And but they don't necessarily literally mean 70. They just mean.
And then they have this chart, and on the chart it says full Bible, New Testament, and then portions. So I'm wondering if full Bible is supposed to be the Jewish
No, but
Bible.
yeah, but full Bible was still 700.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's more than 70. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So we will be ready. So next time I think we are meeting because Thursday.
Yeah,
Well, Thursday is a fast day, but
Yeah,
we'll still
Yeah,
we'll still meet.
I
So
don't have to eat.
right. So then we'll get into the speech. We're so far just in the introduction.
Right. That works.
All right. I look forward to it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No, thank
Rabbi,
you. Yes,
wish you a very good bench, healthy, yeah, all the good.
you too.
Yeah.
You too.
Yeah.
A sweet
Wonderful.
year, a year of good health.
Yes.
And
Sweet
good
year.
learning.
All of us.
Yes, and
Peace.
with learning, and may we get to learn a lot together during this next year.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Be
you.
well.
Archie.
Bye-bye.
Be well.
Thursday, well, a week from today?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good.